Now, it's not to say that I'm worried that Belle would end up dead going up against Ryu in a fight that seems pretty much guaranteed next week, unless something shocking happens. I mean, they did kind of foreshadow that there's a monster that is approaching, so maybe that would disrupt the fight from going too far, and maybe they'd have to work together. But if you put yourself in Belle's shoes, and even as a viewer watching Belle, it's a fearful fight, not because you worry that Belle would die going up against her, even though it feels like she would be willing to go the extra mile if you got in the way of her revenge for what happened and everything. Even if, like, it went to that extreme and he had to go all out to save himself, I'd put my money on Belle. The biggest issue right now is that he wouldn't want to hurt her, he wouldn't want to kill her, so that could be his biggest downfall in getting very badly wounded. Would he actually get a death blow? Probably not, but you can see where the concern is. But when you have to pull your punches, when you have to restrain yourself because 1, you have conflicting feelings about a friend, 2, you have to worry about your own life and now the scumbag's life. Like, there's so many different things stacking, and unlike the fight with this moss creature that kicked off the season, yeah, you had to worry if one of your allies went down, you have to protect them, and that's bad enough because it disrupts the flow of your combat. We see it's night and day when Belle came back a second time, but holy shit, this situation is gonna make Belle 10% of the fighter that he would be in a normal situation, and for that, it's gonna feel very one-sided, and the potential bloody blows that could occur, even just emotional trauma, ignoring the physical trauma, like Belle's in for a hell of a time, and this girl is out for bloody revenge, and it's already getting bloody. The whole severed ear, the severed arm, like, that dude was not looking good. Not to say that it doesn't seem like he probably deserved it, but it's one of those conundrums where he's saying like he turned his life around, potentially he did, but at the same time, did he deserve it? It's one of those things where you just kind of want to sit back. It actually kind of gives me that Made in Abyss feel, if anyone's watching the current season of that, where there's a current situation where you don't pick sides, you just kind of sit back and watch the chaos that unfolds. And that's almost how I feel with Ryu's revenge here, where I would just kind of want to sit back and just say whatever happens, obviously is going to happen. The issue is when it comes with Belle. He's a dude with a heart of gold, and to just see what could have been a de-escalated situation, just if more people realized just how much she did help, maybe there could have been a bit more dialogue, but when you have people that she realized that she didn't take out when she should have, it feels like there's no talking to the mama bear who's on her own revenge path. And it's gonna be exciting if we do get to see Belle versus Ryu, because that would be combat gold, the skill sets, the just tactics, it would be incredible. The biggest issue is that Belle's going to be fighting on a handicap because he's not going to be fighting at his full potential. He's not going to be going in for kill blows. He's not going to be going in to potentially even hurt her. So he's going to be restraining himself. It'll probably feel like him fighting with handcuffs behind his back. But for her, I mean, even though I couldn't imagine her wanting to kill Belle, even if he stood up for this man's life, she still would probably be okay in this moment to cut off an arm, it feels like. Like, that's the type of rage that she's basically radiating, and that's a pretty, exciting, if not terrifying moment. Like I said, though, the thing that actually has my interest is the establishing that there's some creature that made a tunnel, based on the fact that what kicked this season off is probably a baby in the grand picture of the type of monsters you'd have to deal with where they're currently at. Add in the whole, like, we need to track down a murderer plotline, add in a horrifying monster, the enemy of my enemy becomes my friend in that moment, and who the hell knows what type of carnage we'll experience. They kick off the episode once again, putting it in the forefront of our mind. They're refusing to let the viewers let the prophecy slip by, because it's very easy in these cases to say, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, we heard about it 3 episodes ago. It looked bad, it sounded bad, but nothing's happened. We just have a girl saying something's gonna get bad. But unlike the characters who just think she's crazy or just don't believe her, right? We, the viewer, we understand that these visions are gonna come true in some way, shape, or form, and it feels like it's gonna happen sooner than maybe even I was expecting. I honestly thought we'd have a couple episodes before potentially anything too crazy happens in the way of like, holy shit, I didn't expect a character to get their head cut off, or I didn't expect a character to die here, but it feels like there's no way without, like, an episode or two, something crazy like that happening. I mean, Cassandra is a pretty tragic character in general, not only just because she's a prophet who can, you know, predict the future. Unfortunately, she's cursed to never be believed, as Cassandras in mythologies who are prophets and cursed to never be believed, right? But to see her and just the weight it still remains to be one of my favorite aspects about this season, is that the weight of that prophecy, trying to even argue to yourself that, no, nothing's gonna happen. As long as we stay here, nothing's gonna happen. But we know damn well shit's gonna happen, and the fact that she can't even go to bed, have a good night's sleep to hopefully de-escalate her own feelings, it's just such a great moment for a character, and it makes it even more exciting, if not terrifying. I think the biggest compliment I have for Season 4 as it stands with DanMachi is that the action has remained to be just as important as the narrative. See, often when you have these action set pieces in shows like these, and even earlier DanMachi has moments where it was a cool looking fight, but it was just a cool looking fight, I felt like. It didn't need to be there other than just visual flair. But I think the excitement, the terror, the thrill that the action and the kind of like the search and hunt or search and rescue in the case of Belle, it all serves as a major importance to the plot. So as you're fighting for your life or you're fighting to attack this character who people are trying to kill and you're trying to bring back to the light, it serves as narrative all at the same time, so it never feels like we're in that kind of flash over substance, but rather the story is there the entire time these crazy-ass fights are going down. And as we see with Belle in this episode, I think it's at the very beginning, the scarf that he was handed in the previous episode not only is going to work as a great shield, he can also use it as a great reach weapon, as seen by the monsters that he was slaying there. And, I mean, it's worrying, but I think that's what's exciting about DanMachi right now. We've elevated Belle to such a power level that he is such a beast, but there is so much about him that remains so human that it does restrain him in ways that he would never go all out against a friend, even if that friend would be willing to do so if you try to protect someone that she deems that needs to be hunted down. The biggest thing, though, is that it does feel like she's blamed still, because I mentioned in the previous video, she seemingly is cutting, like, the arms, the legs, hell, maybe even an ear, but it doesn't feel like death blows, right? It's more so punishing in a way that you can't walk again or something like that. So maybe the monster is the one who's actually landing the death blows, or obviously we have the establishing shot in this episode where we have our girl say, hey, I'll go sleep with the guy to get the information I need. This man definitely feels like maybe he's also responsible in some way, I'm not exactly sure, so it does feel like she's being sabotaged in a way, but it's guaranteed 100% confirmed. She is hurting and hunting these people. It just, I'm curious to see if she's going that full mile like it's being painted as, but there's so much between a potential monster, other human adventurers, or beast adventurers basically feeling like maybe they're sabotaging her that could provide for an even more interesting conflict, but I guess we'll see, right? Either way, DanMachi, I've heard nothing but crazy things about the arc that we're now in, and it feels just as crazy as I think people are hyping up. It definitely has a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of already visually bloody moments from prophecies to current actions, and you know it's just going to get 10 times worse before it ever gets better, right? So, thoughts, feelings, theories, if you got any down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.